I think that there's few key essential points that a great communicator has. Number one, I think they listen. They communicate first by listening. Once you listen and you feel what somebody is trying to communicate with you, you are best then able to return and reciprocate that conversation, that communication. So start by listening. Number two, my number one rule in communication is open and honest. Open and honest communication is the only kind of communication. If it's not open and honest communication, it's not worth your time. You got to start by listening, and you have to start by really committing to having open and honest conversations and communications with people. And sometimes that means getting really vulnerable. Sometimes that means saying things that you don't necessarily want to say. That always means having the hard conversations that you don't want to have. But those are the conversations that most need to happen in order to really take that communication and that relationship towards trust to the next level.
I love what you said there around you communicate first by listening. That's really important to note. I want to just park there for a second because there's a couple aspects to that. If you're not really listening to understand, you're just waiting to talk, or you're zoning out, thinking about the other 1,000 things you have to do that day, you're going to miss out on all the important things that that person is saying that can help keep the conversation going and ultimately achieve the goal, whatever that goal may be for the conversation. But also when you are really demonstrating that you're listening, where you're focusing on them, you're eliminating distractions, that's going to, I think, perhaps build up some trust or build up some comfort where the person will feel more open to confide in you or to share with you, which will lead to much more meaningful communication. So the idea of you communicate first through listening, very powerful. And then having those open, honest conversations, sometimes those tough conversations. I think Gary Vaynerchuk in his last book, 12 and a half, talked about kind candor, right? Mm-hmm. Having open and tough conversations or honest conversations doesn't have to be mean. It doesn't mean you tell someone that they're terrible or things like that. It's just very having the candid conversations, which hopefully the foundation for that conversation was started months ago. Perhaps if it's around performance at work, where you've clearly communicated expectations and along the way you've touched base with people to talk about their progress along the way. So it isn't blindsiding somebody with their performance at work or whatever that is. So I think those are spot on, two great things for a strong communicator.